All I can say is we probably have a bunch of people who've been pioneers in their work. They've made tremendous changes in the domains that they've selected. And they've been very inspired. So we want to hear them speak today about their personal stories, both from a private entrepreneurial perspective and even from a government entrepreneurial perspective. So with that, I'm going to ask our speakers to take charge.
The three words are power, only, and diversity. Power, why power? Because I've looked at all the studies of development. Why are people poor? And the reasons they give are many: lack of education, lack of skills, lack of opportunities. But I very seldom find lack of power mentioned. Years ago I discovered that, I remember we kept saying it's not enough to give a person a fish to eat, you teach them to fish. But if you come back and look at the power and vested interests in our own country, I found that it's not enough to teach people to fish, because they cannot reach the river. There are so many obstacles on the way, created by caste, community, politics, tradition, feudalism, what have you. And when they reach the river, they find that the fishing rights have already been captured. So unless we understand the role of power, you're not really going to change ecosystem or to allow the marginalized to enter into the system, which the government is trying to do. I mean, that's the role of government really, and that's the role of NGOs. And it always strikes me that where people say in nature, we are talking about diversity, we are talking about monoculture. All those foresters over here will say monoculture is the biggest threat to nature. But when it comes to human beings, we want everybody to be the same. We want everybody to follow the same religion, or we want everybody to follow the same political party. Ultimately, what we learned was that if you want to manage the actual diversity, it is the people that have to manage the last mile. The last mile cannot be controlled by a standardized version of software. It has to be controlled by people. It cannot be controlled by the state government. The people have to decide, should I give this loan, should I not give this loan? I remember one meeting way back in 85, 86, one woman said, I need a loan. Why? They said, because my daughter's pregnant, they go to hospital. And they had very little money in those days, only the little savings, and my brother used to match their savings a little bit. And they said, see, we have only this money, but incidentally, no, your daughter is not due this month, she's due next month. So we'll give you this loan after 3 weeks. Now tell me which banker can do that. The NABARD and RBI allowed banks to give one loan to the group and let the group members decide what to do with the loan. In other words, they put the people in charge of the last mile. As a result of this, the ecosystem expanded. And NABARD brought in banks, cooperatives, RR, regional rural banks, and it spread all over the country. In some areas not so fast, but our country. Today, as a result, there are over 90 million people in the self-help group program, which makes it the largest microfinance institution in the world, with almost 6,000 self-help group promoting institutions, apart from the banks. Now that is the ecosystem that supports.
We have 2% global market share in the creative industries market, just 2%. And we have the world's largest workforce, okay? The government has no idea what are the numbers. They're completely clueless. We've been talking to them saying, at least in the next census, put it out. Just calculate the number of people you have. But at the last count, it's 40 million, 60 million, 100 million. Nobody knows, okay? And it's across materials. It's wood, metal, ceramic, cloth, fabric, everything, leather, right? Okay. Now, India has the world's largest organized retail market today, growing with speed, yeah? And we are importing goods from China. So, if you look at apparel, we are okay. Fabrics, home textiles, we're all right. But if you look at hard goods, which is the sector I'm concerned with, because I'm a product designer. I have very little to do with textiles. So you see, handicraft is not low-hanging fruit. It's very tough. So handicrafts, if you look at it from the market point of view, it comes in the home accessories category. We had done export orders to IKEA, Crate & Barrel. We had our own stores, 2-3 small stores. And we had set up a non-profit in 2000 to work with the government of India. Because it was always very clear to us that whatever we did, we could never do solely through a private company. Because we could not go out and build and help my artisans in Bastar supply it to us better. The only reason we have succeeded to whatever minor extent is because we are a demand-led model. Yeah? So, it's because we always had a store, we always knew what the customer wanted, and my focus on this demand-led is constant. Because the demand-led also creates issues with a lot of traditional people in the development space. It creates issues. But I will constantly focus on that because when I sat with my artisan in Bastar, I said, okay, take me to the market. Where do you sell? Take me to your local market. So he took me to the village heart and he sat in front of his customer and he sold. So especially the artisanal sector, which is very lifestyle driven, it's very necessary to be close to your customer. Now, our traditional production space, the distance between, so there is a huge displacement of demand. The money often goes into when producers become labor, right? So you have a supervisor above them. So here, the SHG group thing is unique. So the group, we tell them this is your production unit, it's not ours. So you are the supervisor, you are the quality checker, you are all in all.
I borrowed $200 from my father to buy looms and an old cycle to travel to the weaver houses and day-to-day work. The beginning was humble yet filled with challenges. One of the first challenges I faced was from my own family. In those days, rug weavers belonged to the untouchable class and were not given the same social standard. Given the strong class system, interaction was not only discouraged but looked down upon. I faced a lot of resistance from my own family members and neighbors, and that discouraged me, but I did not understand how could they may be different human beings. There are about 60 activities from buying of raw wool to the final delivery. All these activities are highly influenced by us. That gives us a competitive advantage by having quality control at each level. While hand-knotted carpet has good value in the market, weavers who are the real owners receive only a fraction of this because of the middleman involved making and selling the carpets. I realized that early on and started going directly to the weavers, eliminating the middleman. We can therefore pass on more benefit to the weavers, sometimes at 10% more, what they earn through the middleman. Today, Jaipur Rug is one of the largest manufacturer and exporter of handmade rugs in India. The US wholesale arm sells over 1,500 retailers across the North America, including larger retailers such as Costco, Crate & Barrel, TJ Maxx, Home Depot. Besides US, we are exporting to 30 countries around the world and provide employment over 40,000 artisans.
The way the communities think, the way the communities are prepared will need to change a lot in any development initiative if things have to be a break from the past. And that is where the mindsets come in. And one of the biggest mindsets that one has to deal with is a mindset of defeatism. And India probably had 30-40 years of a lot of that mindset at all levels, and out of which we are seeing now signs of a lot of positive change. There must be something that we are able to shape to be able to offer. What is it that we can offer? Is it a better, more efficient, better way of doing things? Does it deal with better processes which make things more effective? Or is it any new out-of-box ideas that we can contribute? And there is no end to that. So there has to be a proper understanding that something that we contribute is going to make a change, which is going to be either a game changer or it is going to be a totally different way of looking at things and doing them. It takes time to develop, but there has to be a clarity in vision. There has to be innovative deviations from what is prescribed in the standard. And unless we have that, we are not able to find newer solutions. And if we are open to learn from the communities, if we are open to look for solutions which are coming from them, they probably don't have the strength or the persistence to carry it on to its logical conclusion. But very often the solutions come from them. If we have that, then it can be built into a program. Then it can be harmonized with the ecosystem to the extent that it can get the strength to influence and change the ecosystem also. Thank you.
As much as you find it difficult to work with the government, we do find it difficult to work with other government departments. EO's Women's Organization program called as Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, a vibrant SPV. It's an organization within the organization. Perhaps somebody wisely decided that the education department bureaucracy is too large and too rigid and too rule-bound to take forward any vibrant program. So perhaps they decided on a SPV within the organization, but a little removed, having its own delegated powers and a different structure, that of society. So things could move faster. Within 1 decade, many things could be achieved. While they were conducting this survey, the reasons for the child being outside the classroom was meticulously recorded. I think we could find out 8 or 10 important reasons why the child is not coming to the classroom. The strategies were based on that. An extensive efforts to reach out to the communities were done, forging partnership with NGOs to leverage their strength and skill. As we are talking about the last mile, it's extremely difficult for a government to de-governmentize and try to involve with people. It's difficult. So pre-service teacher training institutions, large number of them came. Quality was a bit of suspect, but we didn't have time. We had to re-regulate and we had to allow these things to happen, and we had large number of institutions coming up and providing us that kind of a supply of teachers. When I go, in spite of my telling 100 times, my BO, DDP, everybody will be with me in the classroom. There will be 10 adults in the classroom. Outside the window, village elders will be standing. But the children don't fear that. They are absolutely confident. They are able to interact with me. They are able to answer my questions. They are able to read the newspapers. I'm talking about first, second, and third standard children.